Go ahead.
You like
Recording in progress.
yeah, we are in, but I just keep it simple, like Joe Rogan. I'm a big fan.
لا لا.
To be honest,
Big fan.
I learn everything. Not everything. I would say I changed my mind, and I was able to reprogram my mind and keep getting better through the Joe Rogan podcast. So it means a lot to me.
على فكرة لا أنا بالعكس أنا I love the Joe Rogan podcasts. I do. It's just because I'm a comedian that does impressions. I do impressions because it's a skill I practice. It's like, you know, like a musician practices playing their musical instrument. So for me, I practice impressions, and Joe Rogan, yeah, he kind of has that soft voice when he's doing the podcast. I can't impersonate Joe Rogan's stand-up, but yeah, you know, I can get that subtle, you know, because he sometimes does that. He talks to the microphone really close, and he just sort of, you know, and he always has a smile. And he does, and I mean, I always wanted to know why he doesn't show us what is it because of copyright? Okay, that makes sense. But every episode, it's always like you always see just clips of it on YouTube, and he's like, "Hey, can we show that? Can we show that?" And then you can see the producer saying, "Well, he can see it, but YouTube won't be able to." And you're like, "Okay, just can you just bring it up?" You know, like he'll just like keep on his, but like, yeah, no, I actually enjoy watching Joe Rogan's podcasts. Actually, someone once insulted me by calling me, someone once insulted me by calling me a Joe Rogan wannabe.
That's a good insult.
I actually kind of was like, I was like, since when is being like Joe Rogan an insult? If anything, I'd love to have Joe Rogan's lifestyle, have my own podcast, have been on television, still get to do stand-up, and get to meet all these awesome people and like be an MMA fighter. I'd love that. That'd be like, yeah, I'd love to meet Joe. Yeah, it's on my bucket list to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. I would love to be, you know, I'd like to be interviewed by him, and if you like have him say, "So I hear you do an impression of me," and I'll be like, "Well, yeah, you know, I just come close to the microphone and talk just like you." Like, it would be a real, that would be like, you know, moment for me.
Yeah,
But, you know.
me too. So do you think he changed his voice when he do the podcast, or when he changed the UFC commentating, or when he's doing?
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. No, because with the podcast, he's having a conversation. You know, in his podcast, he's having a conversation. So he's talking from the heart, with the mind, you know, to the other person with respect. No matter who the person is, he always treats them with respect and civility. He's polite. Yeah, and he's very, very I don't see, and then when you look at his stand-up comedy, you've got the microphone is not the same as the one in the studio. So he knows that. So his voice changes for when he's doing his stand-up. And when he's being on a TV show, like if you ever watch him on the Fear Factor, he had like a, you know, he had his presence because he's being a TV presenter. He has to be for the camera. So it's all a different, you know, it's like the Japanese mentality of we have different masks for different environments. So on his podcast, it's a conversation he's having with somebody else. Like, let's say Jordan Peterson, when he talked to Jordan Peterson, some people thought, oh, okay, that's what you are, Joe Rogan. No, he's somebody that talks to Joe. He'll talk to Jordan Peterson. He'll talk to Ben Shapiro. And then he'll talk to the, I forget her name. She's a documentary filmmaker that went to Palestine and did a documentary on the Israeli occupation. What's her name? Annabelle Haga?
I don't know. I listened to that podcast, but I forgot.
But you know the one I'm talking about. You know the episode I'm talking about, right?
It's old as well.
Yeah. So, because like what I respect about Joe Rogan, he interviews and talks to everybody, and he treats everyone the same. You know, no matter what the politics are, no matter what the mindset is, he always treats them the same. He treats them with a bit of respect and a bit of he treats them with like polite social mercy, you know, like he shows a social mercy that the mob mentality doesn't want to show those people. So that's what happens. But you've been doing, so you're now based in Cyprus and you're going to Canada.
Yes.
Which province? Inshallah. Which province?
What do you mean?
Are you going to go to Quebec? Are you going to go to
I'm going
Toronto?
to Toronto.
Oh, nice. You're going to find the best shawarmas in Toronto. But if you ever have the chance to go to Hamilton, it does have a very high, you want to go with a friend with a car. You don't want to stay the night in Hamilton because it's got a huge crack and heroin problem. So if you're looking to score drugs, that's the place you want to go to. But you got to be careful. Make sure you get the drugs before you get the cash over to the people. But the best shawarmas I had was in Hamilton, Toronto, and the hot sauce on that shawarma, I haven't tasted anything like it.
Do you remember the cost of that shawarma?
I do. It was literally $3 Canadian. This was in 2008. So it might have gone up from 2008 to now. So like we're talking 14 years ago.
Wow. I don't know, sometimes some prices are like yesterday I was invited to a restaurant. I wouldn't go there if I wasn't invited. And we eat small steak. I order small steak, they cook it with honey. And it cost like 40 euros. I was like, this is so over exaggerated.
You know, my cousin shared a picture on Facebook and it showed a receipt from Abu Dhabi
Oh.
for a restaurant. Yeah. And it was something like 600,000 dirhams, meaning roughly nearly 170,000 euros for one meal, and 90% of the orders are alcohol, are cocktails. I kind of want to know, why is alcohol so ridiculously expensive at a bar in Abu Dhabi? I mean, like, is that how expensive Abu Dhabi has become now?
Yeah. So
yes, I'm never going there.
Another question. So do you drink alcohol or?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. No, I just I smoke when I can. I smoke medical marijuana if I can ever get a hold of it. But no, I used to drink, but not anymore. I stopped drinking in 2004. I turned into a bit of a douchebag, you know, like, you know, there's the happy drunk and then there's the not happy drunk. I'm the not happy drunk. It's like I turned into the Incredible Hulk before everyone liked the Incredible Hulk, you know.
I don't know. We don't have to mention names for my safety, but I do enjoy all drugs, whether it's alcohol or weed, or I told you we don't want to say some names. The one that's
but yeah, I know. Like,
I feel sorry. I even have some friends who are like, I cannot even drink because I get angry, or I don't know. Me, I enjoy them all.
Well, Anna, for me, I tried a lot of things. I mean, if I was to be very honest, I've done, I'll tell you what I haven't done. I'll tell you what I haven't tried, and that is I haven't done heroin, and I don't think I want to try, because you never hear a happy heroin story, you know, like you'll never like see on the news someone going, and it was all thanks to heroin, you know, like you'll never hear that in like, you know, on BBC Hard Talk, with me tonight is former boxing champion that is now a writer, and he owes it all to heroin. Like, you'll never hear that in like BBC or anything. I've never done crystal meth, nor would I want to do crystal meth. And I saw after watching Breaking Bad, I definitely don't want to do crystal meth. You know, I like, after seeing what it did to Jesse, what it did to his friends, what it did to Walter, what it did to Hank, what it did to the family, to Albuquerque, to everybody. It's just, you know, Saul Goodman lost his practice, you know, like, spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched Breaking Bad, Saul Goodman loses his practice. Better Call Saul. And and crack. I've never done crack. I'll never do crack, because I think crack, from what I've heard from people, I know friends that have done crack, and I actually met someone 20 years ago that was addicted to crack. And when you meet somebody addicted to, out of all the drugs, crack, like, the guy, within meeting me, of 5 minutes of meeting me, he asked me for money.
How long?
20 years ago.
I mean, after how much time he asked you?
Literally, like, he was a friend of somebody else, and the somebody else went to my university.
Okay.
And the somebody who went to my university, he liked to party all the time and hang around with party people. And one of the party people was this guy who, let's just say, within 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, within 5 minutes of meeting me, he was like, have you got 20 quid I could borrow? And I was just like, I'm actually a university student, and I just paid my university fees, so I don't think I can. I'm sorry, you know. My mother's, mashallah, Allah yarhamha, may she rest in peace. My mother taught me this very valuable lesson long ago. Whenever somebody approaches you and asks you to borrow money, you've always have to say it in this way. You go into Owen Wilson mode. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. Oh, you know, I just had all these bills and I paid them all, and my wallet is empty. If you'd come an hour ago, I could have helped you. You know, like, if you make it sound like it was like, you know, like their bad luck, and then just never lend friends money, you know, unless you know they work and you know they're not a crack addict, then never lend friends money.
Is crack coke or no?
Basically, what happened in when the drug cartels started shipping cocaine to America, every time the U.S. Coast Guard or the FDA, or not the FDA, the DEA. So if the DEA or the Army or the Coast Guard caught those tons of cocaine, the drug cartels, which had drug labs all over Colombia, for them, it wasn't a bad loss, but it was still a loss. So they wanted to try and invent a new kind of synthetic drug that was cooked from cocaine by using ether. I don't know the chemistry about it, but I do know that 1 ounce, 28 grams of cocaine can, like pure cocaine, can make 350 rocks of crack. So when you take 28 grams of pure cocaine and you add ether and you add some other chemicals and you do a bunch of stuff to it, and please, if any of your viewers or listeners, I'm not giving you instructions, so please don't cite me as a source, because if you blow up the house, I'm not taking responsibility. This is what I know from reading drug journals and studying documentaries. You know, if you blow up the house, do not blame Saif A.k. or this podcast. So yeah, It is
Okay.
cocaine.
So, cocaine, we because you also talk. I think like heroin. I heard that it makes people feel so loved. It hit that spot.
Heroin?
Yes, it's like let's say someone is hugging you, uh, whether it's your mom or your wife, or and that chemicals increase in your body to feel wanted and loved and warm. So heroin gives you all you want from that feeling, and that's why people get addicted to it.
Yeah, and that's also why people get addicted to crack, because here's the interesting thing of what you just described are also the side effects of doing crack. But the difference between crack and heroin is that if you take a syringe shot of heroin, the effects will last for hours.
Hmm.
You take a hit of that crack, the effect lasts for 20 or 30 seconds.
Wow.
So, and the way I read, I read this, he was a crime reporter for a British newspaper, and he wrote a book about gangs and crime and drugs. And he, in the book, is just so crazy, he actually did about it. And like, the editor gave, so anyway, what happened is he meets a prostitute, asks the prostitute to get him some crack. They go to wherever they usually, like some hotel room, to smoke the crack. And he smokes the crack. And he says, smoking crack is like being in a comedy club with the best comedian in the world with all your friends, and like eating all the chocolate and having all this fun. And like, like it's like all of your presents coming at the same time. And then within seconds, the feeling goes away. And you understand why people get addicted to crack.
Wow. That's
Because
fascinating.
yeah. So like I would never ever do crack. I've seen people I went to university with do it, and I was just like, yeah, no. I listened to enough rap music to know that that is not a drug I want to do.
I also want to ask you,
Mm,
does because I feel that you are open-minded just by talking
very, very.
and the Zoom before. I enjoyed your comedy set. Um, does
Stop it. You're making me blush. Stop.
okay, I'm sorry. Uh, does that interfere with your belief, or what's your philosophy? Because you also say, inshallah. Uh,
Yeah. No. Like, honestly, I'm open-minded. I've been doing comedy for 20 years, and in the journey, what the beautiful thing about comedy and having spirituality or being open-minded is that as long as you have an open mind to all three, life is beautiful. Because my comedy, it evolved over the years. Like, I'm not the same comedian I was 20 years ago. No way. Even like 14 years ago, I'm not the same. Like, every year something happened. Like, I'll give you an example. Um, in comedy and stand-up, I used to use a guitar, and I used the guitar a lot. And then sometime, I remember it was maybe in year 4 of doing comedy, this Irish comedian, brilliant comedian, asked me, or actually she stated and asked me, do you not think that maybe you're hiding behind the guitar? And it was very deep and profound, and it stuck with me for like a year or two. It started to like, the thought started to come in, like, am I, because there were times when I would go to a show, perform, and not use the guitar, but I carried the guitar with me all the way, and the case was heavy. So, I mean, now I try to use the ukulele. The ukulele case is so light that, Yani, I can carry it with my thumb, just my thumb. I'm not going to carry it all the way with my thumb, but I mean, it's a light and easy instrument. It's fun. The songs on it can be nice and short, and it allows my comedy a chance to evolve, and I evolve involved in everything. So, Yani, in relation to my spirituality, what was interesting, and like, I started like doing my comedy in 2002, but I reconnected with my faith in 2004 after 14 years of doing whatever. Do most of your guests swear? Yani, shall I swear or shall I not swear?
You
You
can,
prefer me not to swear?
no, no, no. Honestly, feel home. You can swear.
Okay, I'll be at home. Ishta. Um, After like 14 years, like I was 14 and my older sister died. And in the time of 14 years after she died, I went through what I can only describe as being very fucking angry at the world. I ate pork, I drank, I did everything except the drugs I mentioned. I had girlfriends. But then in 2002, I started doing stand up, which was only 12 years after my sister passed away. And what was interesting is that my sister is 12 years older than me. So there is a kind of a cosmic connection because I always believed my older sister, she was the comedian in the family. I was like her sidekick, like if you ever look at those comedy duos, she was the talent. I was just the pretty face. Like she was, I'm not saying that my sister was ugly. La, la, بالعكس, Allah yarhamha, may she rest in peace. No, on the contrary, she was beautiful. I mean, we were both very beautiful and still are beautiful, except her body isn't very beautiful right now. It's been in the grave for over 20 years. I don't think it looks pretty at all. But I believe in the spirituality now. And as a result, I feel like now I'm trying, like, I still do dark comedy, but I'm trying not to swear so much. But I like doing dark comedy. I like to do comedy that's grounded in reality. I don't like to do comedy that's based in fantasy of like a fake image of like the perfect Muslim. I'm not the perfect Muslim. I'm not the perfect Muslim. I make mistakes. There's arguments and debates among Muslim scholars whether or not I can smoke weed for my PTSD. I have PTSD. You, I'm sure, have PTSD, and you're going to be going to a country that medicinally allows you to smoke medical marijuana to forget the horrors you saw fleeing
Wow.
the yeah. So like bear in mind that you're moving to a country, like if you ever go to British Columbia, which is in Canada, you're going to be smoking what all weed smokers will tell you is the best weed in the world.
For free, I can get it as well.
If you ask around for BC Bud, which is British Columbia weed, like the weed that comes from British Columbia, it's the best weed you'll ever smoke. Once.
Why? But what? Because what I'm thinking about is that I can tell them I came from Yemen. I saw too much
Oh,
drama.
the minute, dude, the minute you go, you're gonna have a therapist or a counselor, and you get a medical, yeah. And then when you travel to the States, you can use that medical card and get the medical weed from LA. Yani, you're living the life, man. يا
That's,
بختك يا بختك
uh,
نفسي في مكانك. But كمان, I understand that you've also, like, I can't imagine or begin to imagine. By the way, my mother, on my mother's side of the family, 17 generations back, are originally from a tribe in Yemen.
which city? You know which city or which tribe?
No, the tribe of Al-Ta'i.
What is it?
Al-Tai.
Okay, I have heard of it, but
Well,
I'm not sure with it.
I'm sure you've heard of Hatem Al-Ta'i.
We study him in even school. He was writing poems.
He was also a general.
Yeah, yeah.
Hatem But that's, yeah, but I don't know which city, but the tribe my mother said was tribe of Al-Tai. That's what she said.
Yeah.
So
Well, you said that in your comedy you don't, you are not like the perfect Muslim. I don't even consider myself a Muslim in
oh yeah, you're Christian?
just believe in aliens.
Oh, yani, well, you know, Habibi, for your sake, and yani, you seem like you've seen some shit, and I'm not gonna say that you haven't seen shit. I can see it in your face, by the way. You look like someone that has seen some horrors, yani, but you also look like someone that's very strong. So I'll just say, like, yani, I always consider people to be agnostic rather than atheist. And it makes me feel that I'm not asking them to like believe in something, but just entertain the possibility, you
Mm.
know, like just entertain the possibility. Because, like, you know what? I went through the dark days of not believing myself. Like, I went through those days. The number of Ramadans where my mother would be like, "Ehna Saimin," I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah," and she'd make me have suhoor and everything. And then when I'd go out with my friends, I'd be like eating at McDonald's and stuff like that, and then come home, or like I'd say I had iftar outside, but I was not fasting. And then when my mother wasn't living in the country, like when she was in the Middle East and I was in the UK, the number of Ramadans that I would like, if I wasn't in the family household, like hatta even like there are times up until 2008, I was not the perfect faster. And I like Yani, especially when you're living in the desert. When you're in the desert, you get thirsty as like in Cairo. It's like, you know what I'm talking about. You know the weather I'm talking about. You know, I don't even have to tell you. Can you imagine sweating and then getting Kleenex, maybe 7 Kleenexes just to dry your forehead? And then you go to the bathroom, you wash your face, you dry the towel, and you still sweat. You know, it's like a faucet, like someone turned a tap on in your skin. But yeah, no.
I think it's hard to do Ramadan, especially if someone likes to smoke, because you cannot smoke in Ramadan.
Well, I tend to, yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, like when it came to Ramadan, I genuinely tried to, yeah, like now, because like my life is one of those things where like I'm trying, but at the same time, I'm managing my demons, if that makes sense, you know? So I'll give you a great example. Yeah, and even though I reconnected with my faith in 2004, June the 3rd, 2004, I have a photographic memory, by the way, so don't get freaked out by the dates. Yeah. Um, my mother, she passed away in 2019, 6th of October. And the first Ramadan after in 2020 during lockdown, I might have fasted something like 11 days out of the 30 days,
Okay.
you know. So like while the whole, yeah, so the whole country is like, you know, fasting and I'm not, because I couldn't find the emotional energy to have my first Ramadan without her, so it felt horrible. But yeah, no, I mean, like,
The rules, because by the way, my dad
mm,
was the Sheikh, Imam Masjid,
your
uh,
dad was a sheikh,
Imam Masjid,
كمان.
and busy. It was maybe one. I would okay. I don't want to say this because he's my dad, but he was the best in Sana'a. It's the capital.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I would remember in Friday, they would close the street for cars because there are too many people when I listen to my dad on Friday. So the rules was that if you cannot do Ramadan because of medical issues, you rather do it after it ends, the days you missed, or you have to feed three, four people, or so. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, as I told you, like I am not anti-religion. I am not against it, and I think I don't know if you agree with me, but life it's like a journey of obstacles with your feelings, with yourself.
Yes. Yes. No, I
Emotions.
do. I agree with you 100%.
So I think the idea of having God or religion that gives you more faith, keeps you stronger. Some people are out of their mind. But me, it's so easy for me to live without any faith or belief, to be realistic. And I think the biggest reason why it's when you find yourself more, you know who you are, you find what's your participation, what's your purpose. When you find a routine that works for you, you become happier. So that's how I feel.
And just to make you feel at ease, don't let the beard scare you. Um, I respect you and I respect your belief system and I respect what the journey you're going through. I mean, for me, like when you hear those cheesy did you I mean because like this is I am enjoying this conversation a lot, by the way, just so like you know that I'm enjoying this. I'm not you know do you stream the video or like what do you upload the video or is it just the audio you focus on?
Everything. We're gonna put it on YouTube.
Okay, okay, all right. So what I was gonna say is the thing is that with my journey in spirituality, I've lived in the UK. I've seen some crazy shit. I've seen some insane shit. I've seen all kinds of things all over the world. And I remember seeing a video years ago of this woman. I think you know the video I'm talking about. It's like from Egyptian TV. It's this woman, she's wearing like a silk niqab and she's calling herself an atheist to the journalist. You remember this interview? You remember the interview, right? And she starts to like when the journalist or the presenter or whatever she is, I forget her name. I don't know the names of all these people, but when she turns around and says, "No, get out of my studio," the woman, the woman behind the scarf who's hiding her identity suddenly says, "Do you know who I am? I am Dr. So-and-so." She starts to say her name and I'm thinking, you're hiding your identity and you just say on national television before getting up. But the reason why I'm reminding of that is because she talked about how she made dua, she made prayer, she made supplication for something and it didn't happen. So that's why she didn't believe. My situation was actually kind of the opposite, but it wasn't even in prayer. It was just me asking the Almighty a question and he answered in 5 minutes, like literally in 5 minutes. And it was such a mind-blowing moment that it took me 2 to 3 years to process it, to process that, the journey I'm on. You see, the interesting thing is I like doing comedy and I don't want to stop doing comedy. And so far, as long as I can see comedians here in a Muslim country like Egypt doing comedy and not getting, for example, Al-Azhar cracking down on that in Arabic. Yeah, they perform in Arabic.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. Okay, a comedian, recently we did a show and a comedian did a joke in Arabic, which هيعجبك, which was أنا خايف أتقابل أبويا على يوم القيامة عشان هيطلب مني أعمله فنجان شاي. See, now I knew that you would enjoy that joke because like this is the beautiful thing about humor.
Yeah.
is that humor is, yani when I told this joke to two people that were religious on Clubhouse, they were offended.
My dad.
Me, me, I was surprised and shocked and impressed that he does material like this in Egypt and doesn't get arrested. So it gives me hope that stand-up comedy has a future in Egypt. You know what I mean? Because,
Yeah.
go on.
No, I'm sorry.
No, please. You had an idea. Go on.
I just wanted to tell you that for us, as someone from Yemen, we look at Egypt as the country of art, because you know Adil Imam.
طبعا. I met him personally.
So he already like it should be like this in Egypt. Also, there were people from before who made fun of the religion.
Sayyid Saleh, like all the great actors, Fuad Mohandas, Ismail Ramzi, like there's so many old school Egyptian comedians, and the ones of today, the comedians of today now, Ahmed Al-Haridi, Mohammed Helmi, Ala Al-Sheikh, Mohammed Gamal al-Din اللي هو جيمي جمال رمزي, مين تاني, دكتور أحمد الشرقاوي والدكتور محمد فاروق, يعني one's a psychiatrist, one's a neurosurgeon. Mohammed Morgan, he's a radiologist. Yani, I feel like I'm women. We've got women comedians in Egypt as well. Noha Keto, Bernadette, Reem Nabil, Isra Zara. I probably screwed up her last name. I always screw up her last name. And like this is the thing. I struggle with the ain because I lived in London so long. So sometimes the ain, where it goes in her name, I always screw it up. But like there's so many comedians here and they're doing and some of them are now going to Dubai, not to Abu Dhabi. I don't think they can afford it. You know, they're going to Dubai. They're going to Dubai. No one can afford Abu Dhabi now, it seems. Best. So it's
And in Arabic, they do it.
And they do it in Arabic and musical comedy. Yani, there's hope. There's hope for for Arabic stand-up comedy, and that's what keeps me going with my material. Because my material, I focus on relationships. I focus on drugs. I do my material on drugs. I talk about serial killers. I make fun of terrorism because they're only like 0.006% of 1.5 billion. So as Mo Amer says.
But I think it's you say you wish there is hope for comedy in Arabic countries or Middle East. I think it's so hard because you talked about Dubai. For example, about Dubai. Let's say you make fun about the king of Dubai or the family. So this, for me, when it comes to this point, it's not comedy anymore. Because if you really want to listen to real comedy, the person must be himself. Like imagine if you bring a friend to a group of friends and there are things that he cannot say. He will not be himself 100%. So that's why I feel that if someone wanna do, or I'm talking about myself, my goal is to be in Texas. This is my dream. Because Joe Rogan, he opened new comedy club. So, and he said, he also want to hire comedians like a doorman or in the bar. All the employees must be even comedians or open mic. So
wow,
this is my
which state is this in?
Texas, Austin.
Okay, it looks like we know we're going to Austin, Texas, all of us. Okay.
Yeah, and also I love Elon Musk. It pisses me off when people make joke about him, I don't want to be, I mean, how I see it is that this is someone who is so successful. He is in the sky. He's doing like, we don't have another human like him. And the other person who still didn't achieve anything, making joke. I don't know. I don't want to be rude, but that's how I see it. But however,
Yeah, no.
he also lives in Austin, Texas.
Well,
And he
one
goes,
thing.
yeah, one thing.
No, I was gonna go on. Go on.
I
Sorry,
just
please.
wanted to say that Elon Musk, he lives near that comedy club and he goes. So for me, it's gonna be magic.
You know what? Inshallah, you know what? I'm gonna prove to you Allah exists, and I'll pray for you that that happens for you. And when it does happen, remember this moment and just go, MashaAllah. But still believe what you want to believe. I'm not asking you to change your belief system. But you know what's interesting? It's funny you should say Elon Musk, because I don't have material that makes fun of Elon Musk. I mean, I have a joke about going to space, because like, you know how Elon Musk wants to take, but not just anybody, like he wants to take like not just Marines or like space astronauts, he wants to take everybody, he wants to take people, different bodies, different sizes, to see how they handle space travel. So like, because the idea is that we need to start exploring outer space, like we see in Star Trek and like all these sci-fi films where we're doing space travel. That's what he's aspiring for us to do. So my joke is this: I volunteer. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson volunteers. Elon Musk puts me and Dwayne "Rock" Johnson in the same seats next to each other. As we leave Earth's orbit, Dwayne is telling me, bruh, you're all out of shape, man. I'm going to draw you up a right plan. We're going to help you lose that weight. I'm going to have you as fit and as muscular as The Rock. Okay. And I'm going to be like, okay, fine. And because none of us on Earth have ever gone to Mars before, my hope and theory is that as we approach the gravitational pull of Mars, that my body chemistry and The Rock's body chemistry not necessarily swap, but my fat turns into muscle. His muscle turns into fat. That's my dream. That's my hope. That's why, Elon, if you're watching, take me and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, put us next to each other, and see what will happen when we arrive at Mars.
But I found an idea. I think if Elon Musk want to bring more people to Mars, he must focus on bringing girls. If he bring girls to Mars, everyone is going. If he bring boys,
This sounds like the plot to a very, very interesting porno movie. No, I agree. No, it's obviously the idea of going to Mars with more girls would be the ideal. And hey, Muslim men can take up to 4 women. So if the husbands die, that's 4 widows that every other guy can get. Like it increases the chances. There's all this like benefits of bringing Muslims with 4 wives. Be like, if that guy has an accident, then he's got 4 beautiful wives that everyone will be like, hey, how you doing? You're not Muslim. I can convert for the night.
Yeah, I think he should, because also Elon Musk, he wants to bring more people. It's crazy. His philosophy is that we need to have more people.
On Earth or in Mars?
I mean, whatever. If you want to have more people in Mars, as you said, bring Muslim people. They're gonna 4 wives every night, putting semen in one wife. In 1 year, there will be more people in Mars than in the US.
And on Earth.
Yeah, or in Earth.
In fact, they will rename Mars to Elon or Earth 2.
Yeah,
or both.
But in Sweden, for example, they have the best health system, food, and they keep decreasing. You see in Yemen with the war, no food, and people increasing. So don't take Swedish to Mars for humanity survive. That's to be honest, I wanted to tell you that for me it's so much fun to talk to you, and
وأنا كمان. Me too.
what especially that you speak Arabic, you do Ramadan sometimes, and you accept me so much.
Yeah, no,
Way to feel
look,
accepted is valuable.
you're a human being, and if I was to treat you badly, Allah will judge me for it. So as far as I know, you are a brother from Yemen, and for all we know, we could even be related. You never know. Like you and I could be like distant cousins. You never know. Like, in my opinion, consider me your new comedy friend and friend from the Arabic speaking part of the world. And, like I said, if you want English lessons, I am more than happy to help. More than happy to help.
Sure. But you stopped doing it in general.
Teaching?
Yes.
No, I stopped teaching in schools, but I'm available to do online teaching, but I haven't had any students because my prices scare the Egyptians.
Oh.
Us Iraqis have a saying about Egyptians. And no offense to any Egyptians watching, but this is just what the Iraqis say. So don't blame me, blame the Iraqis, which you will probably do after you hear this. When you shake hands with an Egyptian, count your fingers afterwards. But of course, Dunya, Egyptian, ya Masriyin, ya Gadayin, Intum, Asal. You just have to say that at the end, you're like going, yani, I am also half Egyptian. So they're going to be like, oh, okay, Adi. It's not his fault. It's his mother's fault.
So now in Egypt, it's so safe to live. Let's say you are European, you are a blonde girl, and you want to live in Egypt. Is it safe?
Well, I don't know who you've been talking to, but I am not having a transitioning phase. So keep that to yourself, please. But if I was a blonde woman living, Cairo is okay. Alexandria is okay. Ubers are flirty and can be creepy with Egyptian girls, let alone foreign girls. There are plenty, I'm actually part of a group on Facebook called Expats in Egypt, and it's filled with foreigners that move to Egypt, and still foreigners that do move to Egypt, and foreigners keep moving to Egypt because Egypt is, it's a safe country. It's not, obviously, look, there are parts in Egypt that I don't go to, and I'm Egyptian. So like example, I'm not going to go to the mountains of Sinai because there's two types of mountains in Sinai. There's the ones where everyone goes for tourism, like St. Catherine's, what is it called? Something Victoria, like a monastery. There's a monastery in the mountains where they do kharoob juice and stuff like that for like a treatment center for cancer and stuff like that, herbal center. There's Sharm el-Sheikh and everything, and Dahab and Tarabin. But then you've got like, wasn't there that film, an Egyptian film? I think it's called El Gazira, where it's like a gangster, a Saidi gangster, lives on an island on the Nile. And they made Gazira 2 and Gazira 3. I think they made 3 movies. It's an Egyptian actor. So there are some parts of Egypt where there are gangsters, but there's gangsters in every country. Like every country has gangsters. Canada has bikers. That's their criminal element. There's organized crime in Canada. There's organized crime in America. There's organized crime in El Salvador. Every part of the world has organized crime. Organized crime is basically the people that are making money from the black market. If there's a black market economy, it has organized crime working with it.
But I'm sorry. Also, for example, the avocado. There were people, I was watching documentary when Mexicans start selling avocado to the US, they start doing so much crime about the avocado and killing each other.
I've heard about that. I haven't seen the documentary, but I have heard about that. I remember someone talking to me about that as well recently, about the avocados.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But why you wouldn't go to this other places? Did you say the places you wouldn't go to? Does it called Saidi, or why do they make joke about Saidi? Saidi.
I'll tell you why. In the way, if you look at the history of a joke or the evolution of jokes, like for example, Libyans told me that the equivalent of a Saidi is a Darhuni in Libya. Like that's what they call the Saidi's equivalent.
What's in the US, for example?
What's in the what?
The US. What would be a Saidi?
Well, you see, this is the interesting thing, and I'll explain. A Saidi is basically a farmer. They're making fun of people that live in villages that don't live in the city. So if you look at I mean, because I actually have a friend of mine, she is half Saidi, and she lived, and this is interesting. She was a teacher in Kuwait. She's now a teacher in the UK. She's from the UK, like Egyptian, lives in the UK. But her father is not only Saidi, he's an Islamic teacher, was an Islamic teacher, Allah yarhamu. And when I look back at all the Saidi jokes I've ever heard, all the Saidi jokes are essentially racist jokes against the Said. It's sort of like class looking down on, trying to think that they're idiots.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. One of the and a lot of them are very fast, quick ones. So like you'll hear, for example, مرة واحد صعيدي ركض ورا حرامي وسبقه, which obviously when you translate to English for your English speaking listeners, they'll be like, what's the joke? And it'll be like, it kind of loses translation, but in Arabic it rhymes. And it like Saidi was running after a thief and then he passed him, like as if he was racing with him. مرة واحد صعيدي دخل في المكنسة الغسيل الهدوم وقال يخرب بيت الملاحي.
I didn't get this.
تعرف الغسيل بتاع الهدوم?
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what's the connection. What's the house of Al-Malaki?
لا, no, يخرب بيت الملاحي. الملاحي is the fun fair.
Oh.
So he goes into a washing machine and he's like, God damn, that fun fair wasn't fun, like, so like the equivalent of that in America, like their equivalent in America, they make fun of people like rednecks.
Rednecks. Yeah.
Rednecks, that's the chosen name for but basically even the term redneck, this is the tragedy. The term redneck itself is racist against the white farm people who stand all day in the farm. Their necks are under the sun. That's why their necks are red.
You know why people laugh when they feel superior. So it makes sense. We always love to make fun of others, and If you see someone fall down, you laugh because if it's superior, you didn't fall down. So I can understand. I mean, when people make joke about farmers and others laugh, it's funny.
I mean, you see, at the end of the day, as a comedian, for me, everything can be funny. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when I'm on this application for Clubhouse, or even like I can't remember what it was. I made a joke about someone asked me, "What did you make for dinner?" I was like, "I made tuna salad." And they'll be like, "Okay," and I'll be like, "Yeah," and they'll be like, "How did you season it? Like, what kind of dressing did you make?" And I was like, "Oh, salt, pepper, the tears of Uyghur Muslims from China." So I'll say like stuff that's so dark and so messed up, but when people get mad at me, I turn around and say, "Are you getting mad at me, the comedian, making fun of the Chinese brutality of Uyghur Muslims? Or should you actually be looking at yourself for not reacting to the fact that the Chinese are brutalizing Uyghur Muslims and you're not interfering with that?" So it's when you use comedy in a clever way to get your point across. I'll give you an example, and you're gonna, as a Yemeni, you'll find this funny, and I might end up being on the blacklist for Saudi Arabia for the rest of my life. But like, have you ever noticed how certain Arab leaders use so much henna that you can imagine seeing one of them on television going, "When I met Chancellor Hitler in 1935, he made an excellent salad and he showed me his artwork. MashaAllah, he was a lovely young man." That's the kind of leaders we don't want to have. People that were old enough. I mean, look at Joe Biden, like, "I'm Joe Biden. They bring me out of a cryo tube every night and then they put me back in. I was a drummer boy in the Spanish-American War." He sounds so old and ancient. Like he looks like he's about to collapse any second.
No, it's Joe Biden is crazy. I mean, it's when you see also like America, it's like the biggest country in the world. Everyone wanna go there, and the president is like half that. But I wanted to tell you about, for example, let's say you go to Cairo.
Yeah.
And you have Cairo audience who are like, let's say, successful doctors, blah, blah. And you make joke about Al-Saidi, which is the farmers. They will laugh. But you cannot go to Al-Said and make jokes about them. They will kill you. Or I don't know what the gangs do.
Or you can, but if you go to Said and make jokes about doctors in the city, that might make them love you.
That's what you should do as a comedian. You cannot.
You read the room, you cater to the audience. You don't cater to your own, every now and then, like, I'll give you an interesting anecdote. Okay. In my early years of comedy, in my second year, like 2003, actually in my first year, I was doing a comedy gig at a black bar in London. That means black people, not the bar was black, and African Caribbean heritage, for those getting a little angry that I didn't use the correct ethnic heritage, black people. So it was a black bar, and I love doing gigs for that kind of an audience personally, just because I've watched their cinema, I listen to rap music. I don't use the N-word ever. I never do. But when I do, I say it like this: "Nigerian, please." just because as an Arab, I don't have the right to say that word. That's their word. That's their word, you know, just like our word could be, but some people might get angry if I use this, would be like, jihadi, please.
Mm.
But no, but like I was in the bar and there was a table. I had this joke I was about to try that night. And the joke was, you never see martial art movies with sign language.
Hmm.
Like you'll never see a man go, hey, you killed my father. I am coming here to tell, you know, like you'd never see that, right? And I was going to do that joke, but when I came, I saw a table of people by the front of the stage doing this.
Okay.
You know, I was like, oh man, I could be an asshole and try to do the material and see if it lands, or do it and then see them swear about me in sign language.
Mhm.
So, you know, I didn't do the joke that night because of them, but it's fine because like, it's like the thing about jokes is jokes are meant to make us think and talk about stuff that's going on. So like, you know, when we talk about like, I had in my first year, I made jokes about the war in Iraq, about like Saddam Hussein having a meeting with his ministers, and the ministers giving him an update of the American invasion and him shooting his ministers, like, you know, drug dealer style, like a drug cartel. And then I made the joke, like, you know, like it's just like when you're able to have that little element of being able to like shine a light on our heritage, where we come from, or like when I made the joke about, you know, I remember where I was on the 11th of September 1997 getting my military exemption certificate, you know, like became a day to celebrate until 2001, when then it became a day where I, you know, send friends whose birthdays are on that day gifts. I just bomb their WhatsApp with gifts. You know, it's a 9/11 joke. It's been 20 years. There will be Americans that will get offended at that joke, but then there will also be Americans that get that joke.
But you said that your materials are coming from reality. So did really 9/11 affect your life or the timing? Because for me, I feel also fortunate that 9/11, I was so young, and now the generation kind of understand. It's easier for me. I'm a little bit far, and maybe my kids will be even easier. So how it was for you, and everyone should just understand it.
For you, you get great material by saying, I was just a kid, I couldn't have done anything. So that for you, that's your great, like, you know, for you, that'll be your 9/11 material. For me,
Okay.
I was actually, I was living in London. I was 24, 25 at the time. I was, wait, yeah, no, I was 25 turning 26.
That's rough.
No, no, wait, when I started doing comedy, but I was 24 turning 25 when 9/11 happened. And I have an American accent. I don't look, and then my hair was black and I didn't grow a beard like I do now. I used to just do a saksuka, a goatee, you know, just like that. I very, very rarely grew the full beard, very rarely, you know, like in London. I wish I had, though, in hindsight. I wish I had. Like looking back, I wish I'd grown my beard fully like this back then. Oof, I would have been sexy as hell. Um, but I remember everyone thinking I was American. So I had people telling me, oh, it's a shame what happened to your country. Because like I started university just as 9/11 happened. So I had people going, oh, it's such a shame what happened to your country. And I go, what, Egypt? Egypt's fine. You
But how
know,
was
like,
traveling, for example? I mean, people who doesn't know you and look at you, this is other thing. And even that's why I honestly, I want to hear your answer, but we can talk about this after, that I like to hang out with a non-Arabic looking friends. This is not me being racist, but I feel more comfortable with them in public. I feel open-minded, even when you meet a girl. Let me meet you, my friends, and then she come, and there are Iraqi friends, and she's like, okay, this, and then I say that the plan with European friends or this is to go to a bar, but if I had Yemeni friends, the plan will be to bomb a car. First, tell me about your traveling, and then let's talk about my friends. Like, how did it affect you, your name, or all these things, or it was okay as coming 26 and being in America?
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, no, I lived in London, but I had an American accent, so people in London thought I was American. So, and when I traveled like from Britain to the Middle East, the only thing that changed in travel after 9/11 was the amount of time you'd have to be at the airport before.
Okay, now we're
And
talking.
yeah, and what was funny, and I even got material out of this in the early years, was like the amount of stuff after 9/11 they put on signs at the check-in that you're not allowed to take in with you because it could be used as a weapon. And one of the things I found weird was nail clippers. Like, how are you going to hijack an airplane with nail clippers? Knitting needles, because we all know Al Qaeda are recruiting the grannies, you know, like the women that just like knit with the needles. They're like, Doris, you're very old. Do you want to have 71 husbands in Jannah? Come with me. Come. I recruit you. You know, like it was just ridiculous. Like the funniest, stupidest thing was a butane tank of gas, like, you know, the little gas cooker. Who's going to take a gas cooker with them on the airplane? You know, would you like the chicken or would you like the fish? Neither. I'm cooking my own food. You know, like what the fuck? Craziness. But yeah, no, traveling, it never affect, you know, what was actually funny after 9/11, the only funniest moment I remember in my travels was when remember there was like, if you look back and you Google why we all now have to take off our shoes at the airport, was because some idiot terrorist tried to blow up the plane with a shoe explosive that didn't work. And one time I was at the airport, and I think it was Heathrow as well, like in Britain. And behind me in the queue was an old white couple. I take off my shoes, I put them in the box. Old man behind me starts complaining, why do I have to take off my shoes? It's regulations. So I don't, am I a terrorist? Well, you could be, you know, like, and I just looked at him, I said, well, technically white people are more dangerous than brown people. Like I wanted to say that to him, but I was like, yeah, let's not. It'll be under the title of let's not and move on. But I laughed because it was like a funny moment to see not the brown person getting put to the side and asked to, like, you know, especially the Muslim, but the white man complaining about the security. So that was like, I've never had anyone suspect me of of terrorism. I've had police ask me, the thing is, I don't look Middle Eastern. That's the interesting thing. I don't. I don't look Egyptian. Yeah, maybe I look Iraqi, but I've had people ask me if I'm American, Canadian, British. Well, never British. People are always just going American, Canadian. I've had Pakistani, I've had Israeli, I've had French, Spanish, Greek. Um,
Greek, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
perfect. Greek, wow.
yeah, Greek. And I'm actually cool with Greek because Greek food is delicious. So, you know, and I can speak a little Greek. So I'm, you know, ne, malaka, pusti, ramoto, lesbia. There's all just swear words, but, you know, still when you say them all together, it just kind of sounds like you speak Greek, you know, like when you just put all the swear words you know together in one line. If you tried to do the same in Arabic listeners, look away, turn the volumes down, Arabic speakers, in 3, 2, one. هي الخرا دي ال60 كلب جاهية يعني الشرموطة وبعدين يعني when you just say all the swear words together, you know, they sound like, you know, you're talking like in a conversation, but nobody knows because you could actually say something like in Arabic, you could be like, Inta hatod haliyan. You know, you could like look at someone and just say like something like that, and they'll think you're swearing, but all you're saying is, no, you're just going to sit down now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I never had problems with that being Arabic or 9/11. I had racism from English people occasionally. My mother had racial issues because of the hijab once on a bus, but other than that, no, no, I can't say I witnessed, but I never suffered that much bad.
That's good. What I want to tell you, I feel that you've been to the UK, to the US, and I'm sure if I would meet people with your open-minded, maybe my point of view will be different about being friends with people from Arabic countries, because I was in Yemen, I went to Saudi, to Jordan, to Malaysia, and now I'm in Cyprus. So I haven't met Arabic that are so open-minded, or maybe were born in. That's what
When
I'm.
you meet,
Yeah.
you know, I wish you are able to go to Britain on your way to Canada. If you are, you should, because there are Arabic stand-up comedians. They do a show called Arabs Are Not Funny, but obviously they are, because it's like, you know, it's Arabic comedians doing comedy in Arabic, in English. And but like I think your material is a little blue for them. You know, a little adult, you know, like I think for you, your material will do, like, this is the great thing about Arabs, like Sibakman, like doing the Arabs Are Not Funny, because they tend to be very PG rather than 18. I think they do 18 nights though. I think they do, I think. But what I was going to say is there's an old saying in Egypt, مش كل الصوابع زي بعض.
Okay.
لكن كل الصوابع على نفس اليد. So I would say to you that when you get to the Canada, you're going to meet a lot of Arabs, very open-minded. Oh my God, more open-minded than me. You know, like, you know, more like you're going to see so many different people from different parts of the Middle East. You know, you're going to meet people from Yemen that are open-minded, people from Beirut, from Lebanon, open-minded, Egypt, open-minded, Iraq, open-minded. The opposite of what you probably witnessed in Middle Eastern countries, because the Middle East is always going to be a little bit conservative, a little bit strict, and a little bit not open-minded.
I want to meet gay from Yemen. This is my dream.
To meet a gay person from Yemen,
Who is open
sure.
about it. Have you met someone like how many gays from France you have met, or how many gays when I go to Canada? Is it gonna be same rate?
Well, I know that there are gay Palestinians. So, and I met a gay Palestinian on Clubhouse. So, and there are gay Lebanese, and because in comedy you meet people from the LGBTQ, you know, you meet people that are lesbian, that are gay, bisexual, trans, questioning. Is it questioning or queer? I forget. Non-gender, liquid. What is it? Not
Binary. This is weird.
binary, gender fluid. Probably every Arabic person watching this right now is going, why does he know all of their names?
What is this name? I cannot see. My problem with all these names, or people coming to the Zoom, he, she, or in dating websites, he, my all what I care about is if they have like a dick or if they have a woman part, because some of them they really look hot, like they have women here, they look nice, and they have man clothes, and they. So some of them they really look appealing, and that's all what matters, in my opinion, is that if you should. I think that's what matters to people. If you have man part or woman part, don't confuse people, because it's confusing. You cannot figure out what's in there down, like, or in the clubs, how many people like get crashed with someone and then start dancing and they are like, oh, I feel the dick. This is not what I sign up for. So that's the issue.
That's going to be an experience when you get to Canada, definitely. That you're going to find out for yourself. Personally, I think, honestly, I think that just it's all about respect, I think. You know, like, as long as you come across as someone that respects everybody, and that is actually the nice thing about the West, about Canada, about America, about Britain and Europe, is when you meet strangers, doesn't matter who they are, when you meet strangers and you show them respect, they show you so much respect. When you're polite, they are so polite. If you're interested in them, they will either buy you a drink or tell you to F off, you know, like, but they will tell you F off in a polite way, like in a very polite, respectful way. They won't tell you like, ew, no, as if. They'd be like, oh, that's really kind of you. But they'll be like, they might lie and say, I'm in a relationship, when they're not, or they might
1
actually
hour
be in a
ago,
relationship. Huh?
you're gonna use your mom thing. They're like, just 1 hour ago, I got in relationship. If you come 1 hour ago, I would drink with you.
That's a good wisdom to use. Like, so if ever, like, you know, someone shows you interest, you'd be like, ah, if you'd come an hour ago, I was free and single, but now, oh, what are you doing to me? No, I can't cheat. I can't cheat. Never again, never again. And then you just walk away going, no, 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 you know, like, I can't cheat. I can't do it again. Make it look like you're being a drama queen, and they'll leave you alone. No, it's just like, as I said, Yani, I believe in the fundamental that society exists always with respect and politeness. I mean, uh, it's just, yani, when you're good to people, when you're, I mean, of course, and when you want to defend yourself with intelligence, there's a reason why, even though my name means sword, the pen is mightier than the sword. You know, and the microphone of a comedian can be equally more powerful than a sword.
Exactly.
So
That's what I love about comedy, because I do believe that it's the best art and it's the best way to change people's mind, and to tell people, to educate people, to get people out of. It's stronger than war, or because also when people are laughing, it's like they put their guard down.
yeah, I mean, Anna, for me, for example, I don't know if this is going to show,
Yeah,
but if you can see this, this is this is the logo for my independent company. It's R for Ronin, C for comedy, and then it's a samurai sword that is with a microphone
that's
at the top.
beautiful. That's amazing. I just got it now.
So I mean, like, Anna, for me, like, the idea of Ronin comedy was that we tried to, you know, look at comedy as warriors of truth and justice and humor and thinking, and that's what our comedy nights are all about, like Ronin comedy. Of course, in Egypt, you have to watch what you're doing your material about. So like, for example, mathalan, you can't do material about the government in Egypt, which in Ronan comedy and all the other comedians, we accept that, yani, because we want to live our lives without headache, you know? We're not allowed to do material about religion. And also, like, majority of the comedians are religious. There are the odd agnostic in their inner thoughts, but they won't admit it openly because, you know, it's easier to admit you're gay than you're an atheist in Egypt. You know, no, that's a bad joke. That's a very bad joke. A lot of gay people are like, it's not true. I can't admit I'm gay in Egypt. You know, like, but uh and the third subject, which is kind of funny, that you can't do material about, but if you're clever about it, is sex. In other words, you can't do material about masturbation, about sex in Egypt. You can't do, yeah, no.
There is, you cannot do about politics, you cannot do about religion, you cannot do about sex. So what you guys are talking about? I'm not coming to Egypt. You gotta get out of
لا اسمع. When it comes to doing material about sex, you can't use like obvious language. You have to be clever about it. You have to address the you have to camouflage with certain words. So like when you talk about like deep blue relationships in a bar, that might work. Like I know this comedian, she does material about getting married and how her neighbors at the building where she moved into were asking her if she'd lost her virginity to her husband. So in a bar gig in Egypt, you can do the blue material, the adult material in a bar, like where people are drinking alcohol. Yeah, you can do that kind of material in a bar in Egypt. The places where you can't do that kind of material is where families might be there, where the mothers might be there. You know what I mean? Bas together, you know? So it's just like you said, you know, you read the room, like the Saidi audience and the city audience, you know? When you're in the city audience, you're making jokes about the Saidis, they're loving it. But when you're in the Saidi audience, you're making jokes about the city people, they're loving it. So it's just a case of you're catering to the audience's need rather than catering to what you want to be able to write material about. Now, bear in mind that a lot of these comedians have been doing comedy here more or less for the last 12 years. Like in Egypt, there's a comedy scene, and it's now like people from Dubai are bringing comedians out of Egypt to Dubai. From Beirut, comedians are going and performing in Beirut, in Amman, Jordan. So there's like, it's starting to grow, and like what people joke about are starting to like, yani, put it this way, as we say in Arabic in Egypt in the comedy industry, الجمهور بدأت تتسخن على تفكيرنا, which would translate to the English speakers as the audiences are starting to warm up to the way we think, us comedians. So it's a sort of like, yani, you have to bear in mind the falsafa, the idea that in the Middle East, some countries can feel like they are 20, 30, 50 years behind the rest of the world, which just means that the revolution, the social revolution that follows eventually is coming. You know, I'll give you a great example. You remember the Me Too movement? Hashtag Me Too?
Of course.
Egypt had its Me Too movement in 2020.
That's like, it's done in the US.
It's
Governments already get what they want.
but like the idea is that here what happened in Egypt, there were these predators, these rapists that came from, let's just say we say, about a certain background. upper, like middle to upper class background. I'm not going to say anything more specific than that. There are two incidents in particular. One was the Fairmont incident, and one was this guy called, I think, Ahmed Basim Zeki or Basim Ahmed Zeki. I can't remember his name, but both incidents were absolutely horrible, and all across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all across social media. Hatta even it came to the attention of the television, and the Ministry of Justice started to get involved, and they arrested these people and so on and so forth. So it really is a case of like, yani, Egypt is, and we just hosted the cultural climate summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, and yani, Egypt is getting, it's an Arabic country that's coming into the 21st century. بس as the مسرحية مدرسة مشاغبين حبة حبة, you know, it's like just like, you know,
Yeah.
it'll step by step, it'll come in its right pace. So
And also, as
inshallah.
you said, Me Too movement started in Egypt 20 years back after people, or I don't know. In Yemen, they will start it in
No,
50.
no, no, not, yeah, no, not 2020, not 20 years ago. It started 2 years ago in
No,
2020.
I mean, it started because in America, Me Too movement been for too long, maybe for 10 years or 20 years. So what I mean that Egypt did it just now.
No, I think no, because I think the Me Too movement, it started with Harvey Weinstein, I think in 2014 or 2015.
Okay, so in Egypt, it's like, let's say it's 5 years or
Six.
6.
Yeah. So
And
5 years later.
in Yemen, 20 years later. That I feel this always makes sense for me to compare. So I want to tell you that honestly, it's so fun to talk to you. It means a lot to me. Also comparing to my background, where I come from, who you are, it just means a lot to me. I appreciate it too much. But before we end, and this is what attracted me about you from the first look, your rings and the one here. So I just want you to tell me about them, and that's how we end it up.
Okay, sure. Wow, where to begin? Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so I guess this bracelet here, it was my sister's, and I wear it when I do stand up. Rather than I wear a watch, I use my mental clock.
Wow.
I just that's like what I do.
Okay.
This was, I think, my mother's ring, so I wear it there to keep me, to stop women, like to stop, like, because my mother always told me the right woman is going to come to you when it's the right time. So this is to remind me that that's going to happen. This was also my mother's thumb ring.
Okay.
This has a funny story behind it. It's a Superman ring.
Superman. Yeah, I wanted to say it.
My father, Allah yarhamuhu, he bought a ring similar to this from the Warner Brothers store in Regent Street when I was like 21, and I had it for 4 years, 5 years. And then I was working in Gap in 2001, and I was washing my hands and I took the ring off. I left it on the sink. The ring got lost. My father passed away in 2014. And then I was doing a comedy show in 2015. And I was at a ma'arad, an exhibition in part of Cairo. And a guy was wearing a ring like this. And I asked him, where did you get that ring? And he told me about a store nearby that I would have to jump into a taxi and go to a certain mall. I went, I found it, I got it. It was kind of one of the smaller ones, and I was very, very fat at the time that it did fit on this finger, but now it fits on this finger because I've been losing a lot of weight. This ring was the first and last time an Egyptian barber charged me as an Egyptian, to remind me. Like, I went to this barber where I live, and they charged me what they usually charge Egyptians. And then I saw this on their side, they had a counter, and I was like, I'll buy that. But now I wear it to remind me that they're always going to charge me like as if I'm a Syrian. This I bought in a silver market in Alexandria 21 years ago. It actually was an adjustable one, but I had a jeweler adjust it and fix it. And it's just because it represents being Egyptian.
Okay.
The key of the Nile. I'm born the year of the dragon, which is why I've got 2 Chinese dragons there. And my favorite, last but not least, the double-headed eagle, the original in 2007. This ring was begifted to me by a dear friend in a call center, a Kurdish guy, lovely gentleman. I think his name was Bassam, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken because like we only worked briefly, but he was like, hey, Saif, you do dark stand-up comedy, don't you? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, listen, I got this ring. I think you should take it. I was like, are you seriously giving me a ring? And this was before I wore all my rings. I'm still waiting to find the right pinky ring. So, I'm hopeful. And then I'm going to get the thumb rings, and then I'm going to be able to box people to death with my rings. Like, my rings are my weapons. Some people keep their rings, they take their rings off. I'm like, nah, I use mine, especially the double dragon, because that's gonna fucking hurt. That is gonna fucking hurt. I love doing my voice like that. If I ever, like, I like being friendly and everything. And then if I think someone's about, I'll be like, I'm Batman. What do you want? If they're like, I want your rings. Yeah, come and get them off my dead body. They pull out a gun, it's all over. Or is it? Maybe I know martial arts. Maybe I'm loco in a fight. But and then this is again, and now this has a lovely story behind it. Again, in 2015, that was given to me by a fan in the audience. Just, he was like, I really enjoyed your comedy. I don't know if he was trying to buy me sexually with jewelry. I mean, if he was, I'm flattered that he thinks all it took is a bracelet. It would have taken 5 bracelets if you wanted me for the night. You think I'm cheap? I'm joking. I don't know. I think he was just like a genuine fan of my comedy. It's like, yeah. And you want to know what's interesting?
Yeah.
One time, I like wearing my bling when I do comedy shows. And we were at a venue once in Cairo. And I'm not going to name and shame the venue, and I'm not going to name and shame but someone that had told us comedians that we were going to get free meals and, free drinks. And then the waiter came with our bills. So I went because I was like, involved in this company at the time with a bunch of other comedians. So I said to him, dude, this is all in Arabic. I'm talking to him. I'm like, what's going on? You told us at the beginning that one of the, like, what the fuck? And then he looks down at my rings, and I'm not joking. He said, which one of these rings would you like to give me? I looked him dead in the eye and I said, well, if you tell me your ring size, when I go back to the jewelers in Alexandria, I'll send you one. But all of these rings have sentimental value. None of them are for sale or for giving. You meet all kinds of douchebags in comedy. You meet all kinds of people in comedy. You meet all kinds of people. You just have to sometimes learn to never descend down to their level. You just gotta do your best. I gotta ask, are you gonna upload the entire interview in its entirety, or are you gonna do some editing?
Organic. We don't do any, but of course, it's all up to you. Like, I'm gonna ask you if you don't mind. If you don't
Um,
mind, then for sure I will not do anything without your permission.
no, I like the organic. On the contrary, for me, I'm all about the organic. I'm all about, what's funny is, like, before we close, and if it is organic, so I'm doing a comedy special on the 23rd of Ismo A, December. Sorry. It's been a long day and I've been sleeping very little the last couple of days. And it's called Face a Book, the social network. It's all about social media, Matrix, it's a bunch of stuff. You'll have to come and see the show. I hope you'll come and see the show, Habibi. In fact, I hope you do. I think there's this movement right now by the incels. They're trying to and misogynists. They're trying to hijack the red pill. That moment when Morpheus. Have you seen The Matrix? Because
Yeah.
I noticed you call. I was gonna say at the beginning, but I thought, no, you know what? Organic. Let's leave this on organic. When I saw the name of your podcast, I was like, Subhanallah, this is meant to be. Like, because like I'm doing this comedy special. It's all about, like, that moment when Morpheus says, you take the blue pill, you wake up tomorrow and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill and stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the bunny hole goes. And for me, Matrix was the first film I saw 3 times in the cinema. Warabad. Luckily for free, because we had friends that worked in the cinema at the time. Like, we genuinely did. We knew, we used to hang out with the people that worked at the cinema were friends of ours. So I saw so many films for free, so many. And I love films. I absolutely love films. You tell me I get to see a film for free? Yes, sir. That's me. I'm there. So Matrix for me was one of the most powerful films about reality and illusion and the choices we make in life. And the fact that horrible men that can't get laid decided to hijack the red pill and go, I'm going to give you the truth. No, you're not giving us the truth. You're giving us your truth. You just can't get laid. That's just your truth. Don't ruin a great movie like The Matrix. It's you know what it is? It's like the movie fan equivalent of Daesh, of ISIS. That's what the red pill movement is. Like, like how Daesh give Muslims a bad name. This red pill movement, they give us movie fans of The Matrix oh man, I'm so glad that we did this podcast. Seriously, it really is really, like, Yani, when I saw your podcast clip and they said, you're like they kept calling you Joe Rogan, right? And I have to ask, because I'm very bad with the Ain. Muad? Am I
Yes.
pronouncing? I'm
Yes.
pronouncing your name right, Muad.
Yes.
And I don't need to say your surname. Do you want me to say your surname? Is your
I mean,
surname in the
Al-Zubairi.
Al-Zubairi? Okay, so Muad Al-Zubairi.
Uh-huh.
أهلا وسهلا حضرتك. شرفك. نورت الدنيا. وتعال مصر وانا احاول اظبط لك حفله كوميدي هيعجبك. In English, I'm going to try and organize a comedy show that doesn't get you arrested and raped in jail.
Okay, I will do my best, and for sure, I would
I'm
like
gonna,
to come up.
before you end, I'm just gonna move so that people can see the screen.
Perfect. I also heard about the one special that you downloaded. Is it on YouTube or?
No, Kevin miscommunicated. What happened was that we didn't stream. It was a rehearsal, and then we decided that there's going to be like a get together of certain comedians to help me with the writing of it, because the truth of the matter is I wrote this comedy special in 2014. I started writing it in 2014, but I started writing it in 2014. I didn't perform it until October 2015 once in London. And then I came back to Egypt, and then I never performed it again because it's very hard to find a venue that will give you stage time when all they're looking for is to entertain the Arabic speakers, and they think the English speakers are not going to put asses on the seats.
Mhm.
But inshallah, I'm going to be doing my comedy special. It's going to be between 30 and 40 minutes with a Q&A section that's going to be live streamed on Facebook, like what Kevin does, and Shady and International House of Comedy. So it is going to be definitely, it's going to be worth to watch, and it's going to be worth the journey. And for me, like this entire podcast was a very red pill moment. Like it was nice and red pill, and I like red pill conversations where people are just being honest, organic, give it all out there, put it out for everyone to see. If it gets me my Netflix special, if it gets us a Netflix special.
So I think it's as you said, like there are podcasts. Like I learned the most from podcasts, so that's why I'm doing it. It's like it's the and also I think that artists, whether it's fighting or singing or comedy, there are too many people in the doing the preparation, but haven't meet luck, and it's not always promise. So you always have to do the preparation. You have to be ready, and then I feel that when you meet luck, you meet the right people. That's when. So I rather also die doing my preparation instead of dying without even no preparation, no luck. So at least you get the 50%, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And let's see. But it was so great to have you. I really had so much fun, and I do this podcast to have people like you, to have this conversation. It's enough for me, and I grow and I learn. So thank you so much.
La Habibi, it was my pleasure 110%. Yani, seriously. It's the first time in my comedy career that I've been doing a gig and someone asked me to do a podcast interview right after a show. And it kind of gave me goosebumps, like being asked. Like it was a big honor for me. I was very touched. I was a little offended that it took you this long, but I'm very touched that you kindly got me on the show. I'm very glad to have been a part of the experience. And I look forward to maybe, you know what? I look forward to me and you being on the Hangover Comedy podcast with Kevin and Shady.
Okay, we should do it. And also one more thing, if you find comedians or any people who are interested, what I look for people that are good at something. Let's say someone who does massage, or someone who fixes people body, or I'm interested in having conversation with people who are open-minded, nice, have experience, and if they have some knowledge in any industry, kind of like the Joe Rogan, what he brings. So
Yeah, I know.
anyone, whether they are comedian or you feel they are interesting and would like to try to be in podcast, I would appreciate it from you.
عينيا الاثنين. I will, yeah, why not? You know what? Ronan Comedy will hook you up with a database of comedians that will, and non-comedians that will fit the demographics. You tell me a certain number you want by a certain date, and we will deliver.
Oh,
Ronan Comedy, where your laughter is our job. That's our current old slogan. We're trying to change the slogan. I was thinking ambassadors of comedy, but then that sounds political. And then I was like, yani, I don't know, you know,
I
who
like
needs,
the name.
maybe Ronan Comedy's new slogan will be, who needs a slogan?
But I like the name Ron, and I also wanted to ask you, when I put the video, what should I put down? Your Instagram and
Yeah, no, you could put that by Instagram. You could put down, well, Twitter, I don't really use. I just use it to see what's happening in the world. You know, I just look to see, but like, yeah, put my Instagram. I have a YouTube channel, which has clips of my videos that
okay.
I've uploaded, comedy videos, voice reels, and at one point I attempted to do gaming videos, which didn't last very long. You know, I didn't have the patience to edit them all, and one of them even got taken down, or the audio got taken away because it was copyrighted, or I can't remember, or no, I couldn't get monetization, even though the music is over 60 years old. They say that in intellectual property, like if music is over 60 years old, that you can use it without copyright infringement. So I
Oh,
thought Ride of the Valkyries, that's an old piece of music, isn't it? You know, but I guess no, YouTube were like, no, you can't use that. Sorry, YouTube. I don't mean to insult you on this guy's YouTube channel. I love you, YouTube, really. You are what I have instead of Netflix. And without you, I think I would have killed myself a long time ago.
yeah,
That
thanks,
was for YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, that's, I think, as I said, organic. So we're just gonna say goodbye, and I wish to, like, I wish this is not the last goodbye. So let's keep in touch, and thank you so much.
No problem. Just stop recording and we can chat for a little bit, and then and no, we will keep in touch.
So, okay, thanks everyone. We're gonna start with